All right, all right, all right. We are live. It is Sunday. It is Sunday, and today seems like what would be a magical day for me. I'm going to give you guys just a couple seconds to jump in, get ourselves all situated, and join. I am very excited about today's episodes for multiple reasons. We have an incredible topic we're going to be exploring tonight, and I am celebrating a few things as well. Happy Sunday, guys. You know what time it is. We are here every single Sunday. Same bad time, same bad channel, where we go live to explore amazing topics that help us to close the gaps in our lives. Listen, tonight we are going to be talking about leadership, right? How leadership attributes to your success and why learning your leadership style is an absolute must. This is a great topic to join in on tonight, and I promise you that you are in for an amazing treat. Tonight, I have a guest that I'm definitely privileged to have join us, where she's going to be sharing some incredible insights with you. Tonight is a great night. We're on episode 10. Time is definitely flying when you are having fun. Episode 10, and this is also going to be the season finale of our first season. I do pray that you guys gain tons of information, that you've enjoyed the podcast, and I promise you that season 2 is going to be even bigger and better. Today, I celebrate my 2-year anniversary of launching Empowered with Shronda and all that it has birthed out and been growing up to be. So let's go ahead. Let's jump right into the content to get you in front of this incredible leader. Listen, tonight we have Dr. Miatta Hampton. She's leadership and culture specialist, right? Where we're talking all things leadership. She's absolutely compassionate about it. She's dedicated her life to the importance of teaching people to grow into their leadership, to foster in their leadership, to be great in who they are. The very first place that we start in our greatness, of course, is knowing who we are and being able to lead ourselves. And tonight, I promise you, you're in store for some great information. And here we are. Hey, Dr. Miatta, thank you so, so much for joining us on tonight's show. I am definitely honored that you were able to join us on tonight, and we are
Thank you.
extremely excited to hear all that you have to say. Happy Sunday to you.
Happy Sunday to you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. So listen, let us go ahead and jump right into this great information, because time definitely flies when you have fun, and we run out of time every week, right? So let's get started. I would love for you to share with us, who are you? Tell us a background. Tell us about yourself.
Yes. So, when you think leadership, right? It's not. There's nothing sexy about it. It's not an attractive topic. As a matter of fact, most people run from leadership because all of the responsibilities that come with it. And when you are looking to create a business, or if you have a business, or you are wanting to be in a leadership role, oftentimes you can kind of like, get lost in the sauce. So for those of you who don't know me, I am Miatta Hampton. I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I'm an entrepreneur, and I am a leadership executive. And what I do is I help mothers, entrepreneurs, and women who are currently in leadership or seeking to be in leadership. I help them brand their leadership, right? So that means helping you build successful teams and creating a culture from the beginning.
Awesome, awesome, Dr. Miatta. Yep, because I just renamed you. We definitely got to be able to laugh at ourselves. So tell me, you just started out with an amazing introduction, and you said something. Leadership isn't sexy. It isn't, and it isn't attractive. It isn't the subject that people run to.
Right.
So what brought you to leadership?
The thing that brought me to leadership is that I know that I am a change agent. I know that I have the power to inspire, influence, and motivate people to go to the next level. So not only do I help with whatever organization I'm involved in. Not only do I help drive their mission and vision, I help drive the mission and the vision of the person as well. So that's what brought me to it, was offering person-centered leadership.
Okay, awesome. And so, were there some personal experiences that you maybe came across yourself where you felt like there was a need to, you know what, I need to go out there, I need to become a leadership expert, and I need to help people find their way?
Absolutely. So I'm a nurse practitioner by trade. I have my doctorate in nursing practice, and oftentimes when I would find myself, sitting in meetings, these huge leadership meetings, I didn't see myself. I couldn't find myself. So my peers did not look like me. What got me into leadership was the ability to accept the challenges, whatever challenges came my way, not running from the challenges. If there was a problem or a situation that needed to be fixed, I would offer a solution. And that's what helped people recognize my leadership abilities. And those are the things that got me to the table. But when I got to the table, I realized that nobody at the table looked like me. And there's a
Mm.
need for people who look like me.
That's real good. I think you're speaking to a lot of things when you talk about that. I know a young lady grew up with me. She, she's in nursing, and she talks about that all the time, about the lack of presence of the people that look like us. And that can be everywhere, right? It's not just in the medical industry. It's all over. It's
Yes.
all over. So the people that you're helping, build leadership and understand it, are there certain people that you work with? Is there a specialty or niche that you have?
So my niche is leadership branding and leadership culture. So your culture, your organization, your business, it's only as good as the team that you lead. And so part
Mm.
of that is knowing and understanding the people that you lead, knowing their leadership style as well as your leadership style, knowing their gifts and talents, and then helping them unwrap their gifts and talents, empowering and equipping them in order to drive the mission and vision of the organization, as well as whatever personal stuff they have going on as far as career development. Oftentimes, especially in nursing, I meet a lot of not just women, but I meet a lot of people who are in entry level positions, and they never really strive to go any further than where they are because no one ever told them that they could. And then the other part of it is that they look at the bad side of leadership or the not so good parts of leadership. And at that point, they make up their minds that that's not anything that they want to be a part of. But if they have positivity, if they have impact, if they have influence over people, and they can help drive the mission and the vision, and they can help change the culture, then those are the people that you want to see elevated in your business and also in leadership.
Okay. So you work with both business owners, entrepreneurs, as well as those still in corporate America.
Correct.
Okay. So tell me, and it may not be the same, right? But tell me, and there was actually some questions that I wrote down about the two, because I think that when one thinks leadership, they think, when you're in corporate America,
Hmm.
your leadership may be a little bit different than when that leadership and why it's important in entrepreneurship. Do you believe that there's a difference between the two?
I don't believe there's a difference between the two, and that's because most people become entrepreneurs not because they want to work all the hours. They have either walked away from a 9 to 5, they want ownership, they want to be in business for themselves, they want their time back, they want to be in control of their time. But part of being an entrepreneur, especially in the early phases, you basically swap out 40 hours for probably 140 hours a week, and that's the part of the early phases of entrepreneurship. But as you grow and as you scale up, you can't do it alone. No
Hmm.
one gets to the top by themselves. So you need people, not just anybody, not just good people, but you need the right people on your team to help you level up and get to the next level where you want to be in your business. Ultimately, any entrepreneur wants their business to run like a well-oiled machine, meaning I can be on vacation and not worry about are my invoices going out or my accounts being paid, because you place people in the right position to make sure all those things are taken care of. And if a problem arises, you have someone in place who can take care of that, and they don't need to call you to ask what they need to do because they've already done it.
That's very good. That's very good. And would you say, Dr. Miatta, that a person who has a team of people, I go take a vacation and my phone won't stop ringing, is that a reflection on their leadership style, or is it a reflection that they need to start building more leaders? What does that look like, and what does that mean? Because I know a lot of people struggle with that.
Yeah, it could be both. It could be a part of leadership style. If you've set up your leadership culture in a way that anytime your team gets ready to move, they need approval from you, then your phone is always going to ring. And then the other part could be that you did not equip them to be able to handle the problems, or you didn't empower them. You haven't shown them that you trust them, and that they have accountability and that they can go ahead and move forward. So it could be both.
Okay. And that's good. And I think that your response kind of segues into the next question that I have for you. There's a saying, and this is more so your opinion on this. But in the entrepreneur world, you talk to a bunch of different leaders who have different opinions about things. What would you say to the person that says to you that you can't make a person a leader? They're already, either they're leaders or they aren't. What's your opinion about that?
It, my opinion in that is that everyone is born a leader. They just have not tapped into it. They may not even have the desire to do that. Being a leader means that you operate with the spirit of excellence, and people who don't sometimes operate in mediocrity, and they're happy with that and they're satisfied with that. I truly believe that if I say that I'm a child of God and that I am born in God's image, that he's a leader, and by default that would make me a leader. And I think sometimes people just don't tap into their leadership.
So how do you, as a leader, right? Um, whether you're working, corporate America, you have a team, you have your own business and you're trying to empower a team. How do you, as a leader, empower and equip those people who just getting by or just doing enough is their standard? What do you do?
Ooh, that's a whole that's a whole culture in itself.
Okay.
And you will encounter that. You will have people who are on your team just trying to get by, just trying to do enough. At that point, you have to raise the standard on them, and a conversation needs to be had. And you have to have even in business, even when you're working in the corporate world, you have to have guidelines, you have to have standards, job description, who does what by when. Just skating by with doing enough is never a good thing. Um, and so, yeah, you have to have standards. You have to have accountability. They have to know that you're going to hold them accountable for whatever things that you've asked them to do that they don't do. And that goes back into what your leadership style is. And so someone who has a what is called a laissez-faire leadership style, that is kind of like how they operate. So they don't give the team any instruction. They don't give the team any direction. They count on the team member to basically use whatever creative juices they have, whatever innovation or resources they have to get the job done. And then there is no follow up or follow through. And they usually don't find out that something did get done or something fell apart until it's too late.
Okay. So that's just one leadership style. Can you share the others?
Yeah. So there is a servant leader. The servant leader is what it would be considered a holistic leader. They are concerned with the mind, the body, and the spirit of the people on their team and the people that they lead. So this is someone who inspires other people. This is someone who believes in relationship building. This is someone who is empathetic, who is compassionate. And sometimes empathy and compassion it's a little scarce these days. But that is a servant leader. And then there's a transformational leader, which a transformational leader has a little bit of servant leader characteristics. So they also believe in building relationships. They believe in giving the team accountability. They believe in equipping, basically teaching the team what needs to be done and how they would like for things to transpire, and then empowering them, which means they give them the authority to go ahead and do those things, and then accountability. And they operate with the spirit of integrity. And then you have transactional leader. And a transactional leader is someone who basically believes in getting the job done based off of reward and punishment. So if you do a good job, I'll reward you. If you do a bad job, I will punish you. But they usually are not people who they don't teach people how to do things the way they want them to do it. They have a spirit of kind of like ownership. This is my team. You do things the way that I ask you to do. And then there's an authoritative leader. And an authoritative leader kind of acts the same way as it's a mix between a laissez-faire and a transactional leader. So an authoritative leader is another type of leader that believes ownership. Like you've heard the old saying, if you can't stand the heat, get out the kitchen. So they kind of have that kind of mentality. Do what I say. Don't ask questions, just do it. So those are the five types of leadership style.
So those are good. And I was laughing. I think that I might be a combination of the first two, but I was laughing because I'm probably the servant leader. I'm the yeah. Yeah, I'm like she's hitting this stuff on the head.
Yeah,
I lead with that first. I lead with
yeah.
that first. And are there some, I guess, to everything, there's pros and cons. Are there statistics or anything that show that maybe one leadership style performs better, in building business or in certain cultures than other leadership styles?
Statistics would say that actually the servant leader and the transformational leader are the leaders that get the job done. It's because people want to stick around. The transformational leader is usually a leader that is works in an organization or could have their own business, but there is a mission and vision of the organization, and that is their purpose, is to drive the mission and the vision of the organization, and they create buy-in amongst the team, but they do it with empathy, they do it with compassion, and they do it with integrity. And there is a statistic says that the servant leader and the transformational leader are the leadership styles that help transform teams the best. And part of that too is because these are people who are transparent. They don't mind telling you the truth when the truth needs to be told, but they do it the right way. Um, kind of like calling you in secret and saying, hey, I've noticed that you've been struggling with X, Y, and Z. What can we do, or what can I do to help you? So those are the leadership styles that people gravitate to more, because at the end of the day, when people decide to quit, when they decide to leave companies and organizations, they don't leave organizations, they don't leave company, they quit people.
That's good. That's real good. It's funny because you say that, and I've been thinking, this applies to one industry, but the reality is that it applies to
That's to everything. Yeah,
everything. It applies to
absolutely.
everything. They don't leave. If you talk to me last year, I told you I have the best job in the world, and you
Yeah.
talk to me this year, and I'm like,
But
I
part and
don't.
part and part of that could be sometimes part of that is it's the people on your team. And
Completely
sometimes you
changed.
get so leaders, as leaders, we have to be careful with that, because you are basically Anytime you step into a leadership and management position and role, you're basically getting paid to manage personalities. And some people may not be ready for that. Some people just want to come in, do whatever little reports they need to run, and and clock out, and that's it. And sometimes you just can't. Nope, that's not how it can be. Sometimes you have to manage these personalities. Sometimes you have people might break into your office, not literally break into, but I mean, just come into your office and they're anxious. And sometimes you have to help people deal with their own personal issues. And so if you're not strong and if you don't do the things that you need to do to take care of you, you will definitely be operating in a spirit of burnout. You could develop compassion fatigue. And in a leadership role, that is dangerous. And so part of that too is that when the leader, because the leader is servant leaders have to be careful with this, because servant leaders are always, always, always pouring out, always looking out for the team, trying to figure out how they can help the team, exalting people higher than they would exalt themselves. And sometimes that is not always reciprocated. People don't always give that back to you. And so if you are not careful, you'll find yourself operating with a spirit of burnout.
That's good. That's good. So tonight is a special treat, obviously, because you're a special guest, but it's also a special treat because a lot of the individuals who's been on the show this season, they have all been entrepreneurs in what they do, right? And so tonight we have you where you can or you do provide this coaching for being your own business owner, but then you also provide this for being in the corporate world. And
Absolutely.
we want to be able to, relate and give that information to people. Tell someone or tell us how, because I think that we think that if you're working in corporate America, maybe there's limits to how you're able to be you or your best you. Tell us why tapping into our leadership and finding us is important, even in our corporate jobs, and how it makes a difference.
I would say it is very important in tapping into who you are so that you can show up as your authentic self. People know when you're not being authentic. People know when you're not being genuine. And so part of taking on a leadership role or a management role is that you have to bring you. At the end of the day, you have to bring you, and you have to be your authentic self. You have to learn how to be transparent with people
Mhm.
when things are working, when things aren't working. When you are feeling burnout, you have to be transparent about that. You have to be open and honest about that, or you'll find yourself walking away from everything that you're attempting to build. um yeah.
Does leadership start before you take that leadership role or management role? When does it start?
Absolutely, leadership starts wherever you are. You are called to lead where you are. I know people have heard the saying, bloom where you are, grow where you are. You may not realize it, but people are watching you. The two leadership positions that I was given, I didn't apply for those positions. People saw me working. People saw me being my authentic self. People saw me being a change agent, and I was offered those positions. I didn't apply for those positions. And when I showed up and stepped into that leadership role, I was exactly the same person I was when I wasn't in the role. And that's very important, that you have to be your authentic self. Leadership starts from the very beginning. Lead where you are. If you are working in the mail room, be a leader. Be the best mail sorter you can be. If you are just still trying to figure out where you are in your entrepreneur life, be the best that you can where you are. Show up for your people. Be consistent.
That's really good. That's really good. So tell me, I kind of want to talk about now. We've talked a lot about the individual understanding themselves, the individual leadership styles. Tell me, let's talk about building a team. Whether you are, you talked about the team in corporate, but running your business, is it important for a leader to tap into and understand the leadership styles in the other individuals that they're working with.
Absolutely.
Why?
Absolutely. And that's because you want people on your team who have what you don't have. Because you cannot do it all. No one person has all the gifts and can do everything and be everything to everybody all the time. So you want people on your team who have what you don't have. And so there are actually, I would say there are four types of people that you want on your team. You want people who can plan, you want people who can execute, you want people who can coordinate, and you want people who can promote.
That's great. That's great. I feel like you got yourself on the timer. Like you'll go deep and then you stop yourself. This is your show, honey. We invited you on so you can share those things, but it makes perfect sense. And so if someone is struggling, then is that one of the first things that they take the time to look at it? Am I having someone do something that is out of what their skills are?
Right. Sometimes people don't, but there's something else that helps you with that, and that's having high emotional intelligence, being able to have self-awareness and introspection when things don't go right in business, when things don't go right with your team. The first place you have to look is at yourself. Do introspection, self-awareness. Is there anything that I'm contributing that could be a hindrance? And once you've done that, once you've done a check on yourself, then you can check the team to see, okay, well, I've given this person X, Y, and Z to do, and for some reason they just can't get it done. But at being a servant leader, that's the part of empathy in you that steps in. So that's just basically, having understanding for what someone is going through. And that takes effective communication. So pulling that person aside and say, hey, I noticed that you kind of slacking on your work. Is there something that you're going through, something I can, help you with, just to let you know I'm here for you if you need anything. So once you've opened up that line of communication, it's up to that person. Basically, the ball is in their court. It's up to that person to be open and honest and transparent with you and let you know that, yes, you're absolutely right. This is too much for me. I don't have the capacity. I don't have the bandwidth to get X, Y, and Z done. And once they tell you that, it is now your responsibility to either figure out, is this someone that I need to keep on my team because is it going to be a hindrance to my growth? Or is this someone that I have misaligned? I have put them in the wrong position. Maybe they were supposed to be a promoter and I made them a planner. And so now all the planning is all chaotic and I'm upset with them because as a leader, I did not recognize that my team was misaligned. So, do I have someone who is supposed to be executing, and instead of executing, they're coordinating? So, it could just be a matter of you having to pull people out, reassign people, and you can do that too. Sometimes, if you're unsure of what the real issue is, you can pull someone out of a position, realign them in another position to see how they're going to show up. Because at the end of the day, if they were lax in one area, and it wasn't necessarily the position they were in, they're going to show up the same way. So you can use that as a tester to see, is this someone I just probably need to get rid of, or is this someone I, as a leader, misaligned? I put too much on them. They didn't have the capacity and they didn't have the bandwidth. So you can use that as kind of a benchmark, if you will, to determine whether or not you have the right people on your team or if you have people misaligned.
Okay, I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I'm getting some good stuff over here. I bring people on for them to deliver information, but the reality is that this is information for me as well. I have a team
Absolutely.
I'm building. I have a business, financial literacy, and so it's that self-examination. So, bringing things back to point, one of the reasons or one of the things and why I do this live is um I'm bringing information where I believe that there's gaps, right? Where we have the opportunity to close the
Absolutely.
gap and put ourselves into different positions. And I felt like leadership is one of those things because, like you said, it's not a sexy conversation. It's not an attractive conversation. It's not a conversation about going to buy new shoes. And so it's something that we don't always talk about. And so I brought you on because I wanted to talk about leadership. But I would love for you to share, of course, closing the gap in anything as it doesn't happen overnight.
Right.
But can you tell me how applying leadership can help us close the gap, can allow us to see, like you said, more people that look like us in those roles, or allow us to propel ourselves forward into other things?
I would say don't don't run away from challenges at all. Challenges are the things that help you hone your leadership skills. Those are the things that help sharpen you. So just you have to turn your challenges into opportunities. So don't run away from your challenges. Know what your weaknesses are. It's good to know what your strengths are. It's good to know what you're good at, but you also need to know where you need to improve and work on those things and hit them head on. And and you just have to tackle them, one by one, because at the end of the day, I will say this: if you don't know your weaknesses, the enemy knows your weaknesses, and he has no problem with using them against you, showing up in business, showing up at work, showing up in business relationships, personal relationships. So know your weaknesses and work on those weaknesses and closing the gaps. Get a mentor. Find someone that is on the level that you desire to be on and connect with that person. If you are currently in a leadership role, you need to find someone in a leadership role that looks like you and figure out how they got there. And then you need to try to mentor someone else once you've figured it all out. Mentor someone else, help someone else figure out how to get to the next level.
That's good. That's good. I'm loving this conversation. Definitely seeds are being sown and dropped all over the place. Free game, as we would like to say, and we like to put it. I know that you are in the process of building, your business. And so if I were someone and I was saying, I'm brand new to this thing. I've worked in corporate America all my life, and I've never been anybody's manager or supervisor. It sounds like leadership is really only meant for those people. How do I start? How do I change that? What would be your advice to the person that says, how do I find the leader in me?
I would say, I think I'm
You're not frozen. We can see you.
I think I'm frozen. I would say definitely again that you need a mentor. There is plenty of information out there on leadership. I would say start with learn what your leadership style is first from the beginning. You don't want to make the mistake of not knowing what your leadership style is and trying to add people to your team when you don't have the bandwidth, you don't have the capacity to stretch. Um, you have to have thick skin being a leader. You have to be able to take negative feedback. You have to be able to take critique and not take it as critique or not take it as negativity. And then that's when your emotional intelligence come in and you're able to sit and do introspection and say, okay, well, let me check. Is what they're saying true about me? And if it is, how can I change those things? So anybody new to leadership or looking to be in a leadership role, regardless if it's business, your own personal business, or if you're at work and you're looking for a management position, I will also say look to see what the job description is. What is the job description? And if the position is vacated, try to figure out why the person that was in that position, why they vacated or why someone else vacated them. So look at those issues, and that'll help you better understand. Even if the position that you're looking for is suitable for you, it may not even be suitable for you.
That is great. The look at the position, why was it vacated, or why did the person before you leave it? That right there was good stuff, right? Because sometimes we go into something head first and we don't ask the questions.
Yep.
We don't say why,
Yep.
right? And so we go into it and we probably went head first into something, um, picking up the same problems that the last person was
Absolutely.
like,
Yeah.
I'm
I'm
done.
done. And that's knowing that's part of that is knowing the culture. What is the culture of the organization? And if you're an entrepreneur, what kind of culture are you trying to create? And
Mm-hmm.
so there are, there's a culture that is producing. That is your culture that inspires people. The culture alone motivates people to want to do good. Like you don't have to, you know, reward people. You don't have to punish people to get people to do the right thing. When you have a producing culture, it's a culture that operates with integrity. You have people that do the right thing when no one is looking. They help you build relationships with other people. And then you have a culture that is accommodating, which is kind of like it's a mix between being an inspiring culture and a toxic culture. So it's like, sometimes we'll write people up, sometimes we'll, say this person needs to be checked for doing X, Y, and Z, and sometimes we won't. We just gonna brush it under the rug and hope that nobody else saw it, and then it might be a situation where you come back and you say, well, no, I'm going to put my foot down on this situation. That's an accommodating situation. And if you're not careful, an accommodating culture will turn into a toxic culture. And that's just a culture where everybody is, everyone on the team is negative. They refuse to change. They refuse to buy into whatever the mission and the vision or whatever the new direction is. They refuse to shift. They refuse to pivot. So you have to be careful with an accommodating culture.
I'm loving that you made that shift to talk about culture, right? Because the two go together hand in hand, right? There's
Absolutely.
no leadership without exploring what your culture is. And so
Absolutely.
if you're building a business and you're struggling with growth, it's not just whether or not you have leaders, it's what culture are
What
you
culture are you
creating?
building? That's right.
What Where do you start though? Where do you I'm brand new to this. I'm just now opening a business. We got to talk for the people that's
Yeah.
out there like I'm just getting started. You're talking about culture, like how do I do that? How do I even know what that looks like?
The first thing you do when you create a culture, you're trying to create a culture of consistency. So when you're an entrepreneur, you have this whole idea of what this business is, what you want the business to do, and so you're trying to get clients, you're trying to get um, customers, you trying to get people through your doors, right? You trying to get paid, you trying to get people to buy your programs. And so part of that is creating a culture that is consistent. So there's a difference between being consistent and being constant. And I think people get the two kind of mixed up. Do you think that um, some people think that being consistent is being constant, and they're two different things. So being consistent, even with your brand, being consistent with your culture, that just basically means that you are showing up as the same person every single time. So when you have people on your team, they not looking like, oh Lord, who's coming in today? Who we dealing with today? Is this Janet we got to deal with, or are we gonna deal with Maisha? Like, who we dealing with, right?
Who's
So
coming
it's
to work today?
right. So it's being consistent, and constant just means a continual. Right, it just means you just doing something over and over again. So the first thing is you have to build a culture that is consistent. When you show up for your people, show up consistently. And when you show up, have something for them, have something that they can take away. Like you doing these podcasts, people come back because they like the information that you bring to them. And that's part of your consistency. So you're building a culture that is consistent. You said we starting at 7 p.m. and that's what time we gonna start, 7 p.m. And that is the culture. So there's no I'm gonna drag in here at 7:05 and see. No, if you drag in at 7:05, you're probably gonna get canceled. That's gonna create a whole nother issue with me and my people and the information that I'm trying to bring to them. So that probably means that, guess what, you're not gonna get booked again. So we're not gonna visit this again, right? So the first thing is to create a culture that is consistent. The second one is to create a culture that is empathetic, and to create a culture that is compassionate. So to create a culture that is empathetic, just basically simply means that you may not necessarily agree with something that someone is doing, but you have some sort of understanding for what it is. and you can well, I can, while I can understand the situation, that's probably not the way that I would have done it, but I understand why you did what you did. But moving forward, here's how I need for things to be. So creating a culture that is empathetic, creating a culture that is compassionate. So having compassion for your people, that could be your customers, that can be other people on your team, that can be people, that could be your clients. And then having effective communication. Effective communication is key. People just say, oh, you need to have communication. Well, yeah, you need to have communication, but you need to have effective
Yes.
communication. And effective communication means that you understand what I said, you understand what needs to happen, and then you can either verbalize to me that understanding, or you can demonstrate to me what needs to occur. So I would say creating a culture with at least bare minimum, starting it with those four things, that will help you create a culture that helps produce, and a culture that is inspiring.
This is absolutely great nuggets. I told you we end up running out of time every time. It never fails. It's kind of like as we get going and the person is talking, by the time we get to this mark, it's like, wait a minute, it just got good. This is definitely some really, 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 really good information. And I'm hoping that they're definitely commenting and going crazy in the comments. I hope the people are taking from it, because you said something that was deep. There's a difference between consistent and constant, right? And I think that those two things could definitely be mistaken, right? We have these nuggets
Absolutely.
being dropped in the chat box. I'm loving this conversation. So we are coming to a close. It's 7:41, and this is definitely an opportunity where I want you first, if there's anything that we haven't talked about, and to our viewers, to the ones who are watching this, is there anything that you would like to add that we haven't talked about tonight?
I would just say, as a leader, as someone in leadership, as an entrepreneur, whether you're a vet in the game or if you're brand new in the game, that everything you do it with the spirit of excellence. Show it for your people. Be consistent, and when you do what you um, do it with integrity. Do it with compassion, right? And perseverance. Don't do it for likes, don't do it for clout, but do it because it's the right thing to do when no one is looking. Do it because you have a love for your customer, you have a love for your client, and do it with tenacity, and know that when you show up, shift happens.
That is amazing. Shift happens.
Shift
Hey, come
happens.
through with this, girl. You dropping some nuggets. I'm absolutely loving that we had you on the show tonight. Before we end or wrap here, tell me and tell the ones who are out there viewing, you know what? I absolutely loved everything you had to say. I want to work on leadership development and working some things with the culture. How do I get in touch with you? How do I book you? What do I do? What are you special? Tell them all that. Tell them all that.
So I am Miatta Hampton. I am your leadership culture strategist. And what I do is I help entrepreneurs, mothers, again, women in leadership. I help them sift, shift, and lift in order to find their leadership style to create teams and create the culture that they desire. And you can find me at miattahampton.com, or you can visit me on IG at Dr. Miatta Hampton. Click the link in the bio. My calendar is up and running. So just click the link in my bio and click on my calendar, and let's schedule some time to chat.
All right, that is awesome. And we will definitely get that information added to the comments underneath this video. I want to thank you so much for
Thank
spending
you.
time with us today. This was extremely valuable. And I know I got to get to that calendar and book, 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 okay? Because I understand that there is an investment in building me in order for me to
Absolutely.
build my team. And so
Absolutely.
I hope the people out there listening are taking notes so they can book you, so that they can invest in them. be able to invest in their team. I want to have you hang out in the studio room as I get ready and close out. We can close out, exchange information, all those things. Again, extremely, extremely grateful that to have you on today's show. This was some
Thank
great
you.
information, and I can only imagine how much more you have in there. Hang out, we'll talk and chat just a little bit, and we're gonna go ahead and take this episode home, guys. Listen, I am extremely excited to have Dr. Demita. She's on the show today. She gave some incredible nuggets. I think that this journey on season 1 has been crazy, right? We have sat down and set out with some people who have told us exactly what we can do day by day, step by step, in order to build an amazing business, brand, company, and all of the information that you need to know. We all know that closing the gap doesn't happen overnight, but it starts with us introducing the conversation, having great conversations, and being able to share nuggets. There's so many places for us to go out there now and get information so that we can be better and we can be empowered. You found me here every single Sunday at 7 p.m. giving you the information that you need to be empowered in your life, in your finances, in your budgeting, in understanding ownership, and that list goes on of what we've brought to you. I am extremely elated to be here tonight because I just did, no longer putting aside what needed to be done. And here we are at episode 10. Episode 10, it is our season finale of episode 1, where we're going to take a short break. But if you did not have the opportunity to catch up on all of the other seasons, I will be doing replays here on live from the lives, but you can also find it on YouTube, and we are podcasting in all sorts of places, right? We're talking Anchor, Pocket Cast, the list goes on. You can find all of that information right in my Facebook page, where we have every place that you can find this information. What's more important is that you're not getting this information just for yourself and hiding it. We become bigger, better, bolder, and we close the gaps when we take this same great information and we share it with as many people as possible. So remember to like, to share, to comment. Share, 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 because we can all go build wealth together. Your wealth starts with the mindset. That mindset then creates growth into your pocket, right? What does wealth look like to you? Let's go out there and do it together. Extremely excited of episode 10. Also, my 2-year anniversary of the birth of Empowered with Shronda. Thank you guys so much for being here. You know the story. You can find me everywhere. You're here on Facebook, so you already are on this page. If you're watching tonight, you're not my friend, do go ahead and friend request me. I can be found on Instagram at empowered_with_Shronda. And then, of course, all of this can be found on YouTube, as well as other amazing videos that have been recorded just to help you build your bottom line. You can find me on YouTube at Empowered with Shronda. Guys, go subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. Let's all be great together by supporting and building with one another. Again, I'm grateful to have each and every one of you here. God bless. We are going on a break, but make sure you catch the replays. I will see you in season 2, where I'm going to tell you, buckle up your seat belt, because we going to have some special guests and some amazing topics just for you. This only continues to get bigger and better just for you. You guys have an amazing night, and see you soon.